this day in African American baseball history. Getting a little sun here. I might have to go ahead and adjust my shade here in a moment. But yeah, so I'm joining you for another day of this day in African American baseball history, November the 26th, 19. See, it's not 19. I keep saying 19. I don't know why. I'm looking at my facts that I want to talk about that did take place in the 1900s. But this is November the 26th, the 2025 edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. And if you've never joined me before, I just want you to know that I give an historical fact that occurred on this day, and then I follow it up with some commentary that comes from my more than 40 some odd years, 45, and hey, won't be long, it'll be 50 years of doing this kind of research. So I just thank you, and I just want you to know these talks aren't lectures. Basically, feel free to let me know you're out there. Let me know where you're from if you chime into this broadcast. And this is history that America hoped to wash out of the history books. And for 45 years, I've made significant contributions to making sure that this history stays alive. And you can look up my publications. The first one came out in 1992. In addition to that, you also can see some of my work. I was a co-founder of the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City. I just don't like the sun that's coming through here. Let me see if I can get rid of some of it here. Let me try another thing here. Okay, guys, I'm back. That sun was a little bit too much for me, and the sun's coming in, and so that kind of messed me up a little bit. Okay, so once again, I'm Phil Dixon, so I give a history, and if you like this kind of history, by all means, subscribe and keep following me. We're trying to grow this network. I've been on here about 4 months, and one of the reasons I came on is because I saw a lot of history that was been given related to the Negro Leagues especially, and African American baseball history in general that I thought wasn't very good. So I thought that it might make sense for me to come on and begin to talk to you. I lecture regularly. I've had some pretty big tours, and you can follow me. Just go and look up at Negro League Man on Twitter, and or Phil S. Dixon on Facebook, and you'll see some of the significant contributions and activities that I do. Okay, somebody says they dislike the lives. Yeah, the lives are good in that you get a chance to interact with people. So, but it's not a perfect science, but it's just another way that I can talk to you. All right. So my day is going good. We've got a few people joining, so I'm going to jump right in here because it's like 3 minutes, and I've got a few things I want to talk about. So let's go immediately, guys. Let's go to November 26, 1908. On Thanksgiving Day, after munching on that day's feast, how about that? The Dean's football team of Minneapolis, Minnesota, battled Walter Urkel's team from Chicago to a 4-4 tie at Nicollet Park. That's a minor league park in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And less than 5 minutes into the game, a guy by the name of Bobby Marshall, also the Dean's quarterback, kicked a field goal and put his team ahead. Now, the game ended at 4-4. So if you go by modern day rules, a field goal is worth 3 points. But in 1908, a field goal was worth 4 points. And so they had a field goal, the Deans had a field goal, and Walter Urkel's team had a field goal, and it ended up in a 4-4 tie. So you kind of wonder, how do you get a 4-4 tie for a football game? That's your answer. How many of you knew that a field goal used to be worth 4 points? All right. So let's keep on dancing right along here. How about November 26th? Now, I mentioned that like Bobby Marshall and some of the people I'm going to mention this is kind of like, I always talk about baseball players who played other sports. So Bobby Marshall played baseball for the St. Paul Gophers, played a game, some games with the Chicago Leland Giants. And this guy also played professional sports well past the age of 40, maybe into when he was 50. So he was a legendary figure, but most people don't know much about him. So you might want to look him up. All right, but everybody's going to have some connection to baseball as a multi-sport athlete. Okay, in these examples. So we go to November 26, 1931. Following a fumble recovery on the 9-yard line, Pat Patterson plunged over guard for a touchdown in Wiley University's 20-6 win over Bishop College in their annual Thanksgiving Day game. And I'll tell you what, boy, people are snacking on this history, isn't it? Snack Thanksgiving, you get the connection. So anyway, yeah. So who was Pat Patterson? Pat Patterson was also a baseball player. I know he played for the Kansas City Monarchs in '36. He also played for the Newark Eagles, and was a darn good baseball player. But he was also an exceptional football player. And I did get a chance to interview Pat Patterson many years ago. And Pat Patterson, he's gone on to glory. He's one of the ancestors now. But he was a quite interesting interview. And so I always like talking about Pat Patterson. There were more than one Pat Patterson in the Negro Leagues, though. The other one was the John Pat Patterson, who was a police officer in Battle Creek, Michigan. And of course, I went to Battle Creek to speak there, and actually went to the cemetery where he was buried. He's buried in the same cemetery with a guy by the name of W.K. Kellogg. You probably heard of them. The guy who, the cereal company, he's buried in that same cemetery. C.W. Post Cereal, he's buried in that same cemetery. And Sojourner Truth is buried in the same cemetery as the old Pat Patterson. And of course, the other Pat Patterson lived in Texas when I interviewed him. So I didn't interview the old guy. I wasn't around then, okay? So, all right, so let's go. We're still snacking on some of this Thanksgiving Day, some of this pre-Thanksgiving Day, but actually those were Thanksgiving days in those years, right? Okay, so here's November the 26th, 1933. It's something else that you can munch on here. Satchel Paige, tossing them up for the Royal Giants in Winter League action, captured a 1-0 win over the barnstorming Portland Beavers of the Pacific Coast League at Los Angeles White Sox Park. Paige tossed a 5-hit game, and to get that win, he was aided by a home run by Willie Wells over the center field fence that gave the Giants the lead and the win. And there was a guy named Johnny Bubich, Bubich, who pitched for the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Boston Braves and the Philadelphia Athletics, who was pitching for the other team in that particular game, and he tossed a 2-hit game. So this is great history. It's Satchel Paige, legendary player. Hopefully you know something about Satchel Paige if you're following this broadcast because of baseball. But anyway, that is Satchel Paige. All right, so let's go on down to another one. How about this? November 26, 1936, at a game that ended with the San Pedro All-Stars on top of a 4-2 score against the Los Angeles Giants. Manager Wally Olson of the All-Stars used 18 players in the game. 18 players. He used 18 players to play a baseball game. Man, that's everybody and a couple of fans from the stands. Okay, and Joe Fillmore played in the Negro National League. Pitched a 7-hitter in the loss. Okay, so once again, talking about another guy. This is the guy that I think we should spend a little more time on, Joe Fillmore. And since I have so many things today, I'm not going to get in depth with him, but I will come back to Joe Fillmore. All right. How about November 26, 1944? I won't spend much time on this guy because most of you probably know his name. So when Jackie Robinson was forced to leave the game after one play with a bad ankle, you've heard of Jackie Robinson, the Los Angeles Bulldogs would take a terrible 41-14 loss to the San Diego Bombers before a crowd of 6,000 at Los Angeles Wrigley Field. And Wrigley Field, I've talked about this several times if you listen lately on my broadcast. If you watch the Home Run Derby series that would air when I was a kid, the Home Run Derby series was filmed in Wrigley Field. And so here's Jackie Robinson playing professional football. Now, this wasn't the NFL. There were other leagues and teams around. So this is Jackie Robinson playing professional football. But he didn't get very much. They said, how many plays did he get? Said he was forced to leave the game. Wow. I think it was on after one play. How about that? Jackie Robinson. So you've probably heard of Jackie Robinson. And I'm looking at somebody's joining me from Russia. Okay, I think that's one of the furthest away I had. Hopefully, you know a little bit about baseball and maybe a little bit about history in America. All right, so let's go down to another one. This is going to be a guy that I won't use that one. I won't use that one, but I will use this one. I have so many to choose from, so I'm going to use these two. So how about this one? November the 26th, 1972, Wendell Smith, a 1937 graduate of West Virginia State College. He's a writer, a sportscaster, and a TV personality, former leader of the campaign to promote Jackie Robinson into joining the Brooklyn Dodgers. He died of cancer in Chicago. And so that is Wendell Smith, great writer. If you watch the movie 42, they do portray a character in there is Wendell Smith, who follows Jackie Robinson around. And it was Wendell Smith who wrote a lot of things related to Jackie Robinson's movement from the Negro Leagues into playing with the National League Dodgers and the difficulties he faced along the way. So he wrote a lot about that, and but he led the fight to get him there, okay? So that was Wendell Smith. Okay, and we're going to do one more of this day. How about November the 26th, 1980? And I'm going to come and say hello to a few of you guys, so just hang in there. So Ron LaFleur, free agent and the National League stolen base leader for 1980 with 97, is signed to a 3-year contract with the Chicago White Sox. And his career stats up to that time was a lifetime .292 batting average and 391 stolen bases. Most of you might remember there was a movie about his life that was LeVar Burton played him in the movie. And in that movie, they pretty much highlight the life where he came from prison and joined the Detroit Tigers. Now, recently I was listening to the Baseball Requillery, and they had him there. And he's now a double amputee. And so they had him there and he was speaking. And LaFleur said that he never played Little League Baseball. And he never played in the minor leagues. And he went straight from the prison to the American League Detroit Tigers. Now, man, I don't know, could that happen today? That's a good question. All right. So, yeah, going straight from the prison to the major leagues. And he turned out to be a pretty good player, too. All right. And then also, I used to give some coming and going facts. And so when I say coming, that's someone who's born on this date. So they're coming into the world. And if they're going, it's somebody who passed away. So I have a couple of comings this year, today. So November the 26th, 1909, Eldridge E. Mayweather, nicknamed Chili Mayweather, first baseman, outfielder for Kansas City Monarchs, St. Louis Giants, or Stars, whatever they were called at that time. He was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, he lived in Kansas City. I interviewed his widow. He went to the same church, St. Stephen's, that Hilton Smith attended. So down on Paseo. So they were church members, and both of them had played with the Monroe Monarchs. So when they come to Kansas City, and they remain friends, and they even attended the same church. So Hilton Smith and Chili Mayweather were good friends, and that was St. Stephen's Baptist Church. All right, so we talk about him, and Let's see, got one more comment. And born on this date in Mount Olive, Mississippi. So this is November the 26th, 1911. Born on this date in Mount Olive, Mississippi was Howard Easterling, an infielder for the Cincinnati Tigers and Pittsburgh Homestead Grays. He attended Piney Woods Community Life College and played on the school's traveling baseball team. And in 1983, I interviewed Howard Easterling at a nursing home in Mount Olive, Mississippi. I remember I took that trip. I was down in Biloxi and went from Biloxi, and I stopped over in Mount Olive and interviewed Howard Easterling. Then I went on to Batesville, Mississippi, and I stayed the night there. That's 1983, guys. A bunch of years later, a bunch of years ago, right? But these are things that, guys, I can't make this up. I actually have lived this life. And so the things I'm saying to you today are real history. So I also want to say this. If you enjoy these broadcasts, hit a like, and that gets me into the algorithm. And then also, if you want to come back sometime, hit a subscribe, because that also helps. And I'm trying to get to 400 subscribers by the end of this month. I'm in here for this is about my third month, right? I'm actually going on my fourth month. So it's been kind of interesting. So let me, as I go out today, guys, I want to say hello to a few people. If you're in America, by all means, this is going to be Thanksgiving tomorrow. And you can see we have lots of sports activities that always occurred on Thanksgiving Day, especially in the warmer areas, or for baseball. And then football was played all over the country on Thanksgiving Day. So let me get a drink of water here, and I'll say hello to a few of you guys. And hopefully you were able to stay just a little bit and learn something about some of this history. Hey, this is history that they're trying to erase, but they're never going to erase it in my lifetime, because I'm going to keep on talking about it. And as long as you guys are out there, you want to hear it, we'll talk about it. All right. Somebody says Jeffrey S. Hello there, Jeffrey. Somebody said, how's your day going? It's going very well. And we got Dominic something. Dominic, can't get that last part. It says hello. And we got somebody at X, small X, capital X, Panda Fire. Said, dislike the live. I understand, but they hang with me. One of these days, we won't do lives. Who knows? And then we got, what's it, Crisco? Somebody said, want to know, are you a vegan? Well, I don't know. I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegan, and so I will be eating some turkey tomorrow. Then we got somebody here, Sean Blanco from Russia, and said, friend, you may be speak on Babe Ruth. Yeah, I've talked about Babe Ruth quite a bit. Babe Ruth played many games against Negro League baseball players. Of course, Babe Ruth was most of his career was in the American League with Boston and New York. But yeah, he played many games. So definitely know who he was. So yeah, so there's just a few guys. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for joining. If you like these kind of talks, guys, come back. I always tell people, I don't even have any scantily dressed girls in the background, to lure you in. I don't have any funny jokes. I can tell you some humorous stories, but I'm not a comedian. I'm not going to do anything funny or whatever. But if you like history and you like this kind of conversation, this is a good place, because there's no place like this on YouTube. Nowhere. There's no one like this. And if you agree with me that there's no one like this, if you listen to the broadcast in replay, go ahead and put a statement there. If you think that this is a unique broadcast and it needs to continue, just let me know. So once again, I'm Phil Dixon, and I'm going to get out here and enjoy my day. Tomorrow, won't be working, and I'm pretty close to 200 broadcasts. So I may do something to get me to 200, and then we'll do a celebration for our 200 live broadcasts. I've done just maybe 3 or 4 taped broadcasts. Maybe I'll release those again and let you see those. But for the most part, I've done lives. And so I appreciate you joining me. And I'm speaking from Kansas City, home of the Negro League Baseball Museum, which I'm a co-founder. But I've also got books, guys, and one of my books here, you can kind of see this one here, is the Negro Baseball Leagues of Photographic History. If you can kind of see that. That was my first award-winning book, and it goes back to 1992. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody listening right here that wasn't even born in 1992. All right. So, okay. So, guys, thank you. And you have a nice day. And this kind of does it for me. And this edition of This Day in African American Baseball History. Thank you. And I'll see you real soon.